Okay, perfect. So it's 9 a.m. sharp, and I think we should start while kind of others will join us down the road. So, hey, this is Erila. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I would like to kind of introduce this mindset speaker series, basically, which is hosted by the Voice of Women in Innovation, which is a recent network we all have created, basically. Um, in the meantime, please help me, Elisa,
Yeah.
with the people who are.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, it's a group that we have created with a mission to involve women, basically and include women, more women in innovation. The aim is to build this dynamic and supportive community that actively champions for this. What we do is we are trying to highlight the great work of each member to share more opportunities for each other, like speaking engagement, jobs, contracts, support and guide each other through challenges that all these women on innovation are facing, and collaborate in the end to drive the real impact. We have created 3 committees. One is on speaker series to organize talks and create opportunities for women to be invited as speakers. The other is the committee advocacy based on data, which is about writing articles and sharing news about women's involvement in innovation. And then the other is the discussion group, which is sharing and collecting challenges each of us have and addressing those challenges as a group and being like a support group for each other. We are very glad to kick off actually the official speaker series today with Kristin Joy Ekkens, which is one of our members. And I would like to introduce her. Well, Elisa, you are putting the bio up. So, Christine, actually, we met together and kind of we saw that we had lots of similar things. Well, I was pushing for this network, and Christine is pushing on the other side to make women's happy to find joy in the work they do. So we found many similarities, and we said, hey, we should collaborate together. So Christine is a global strategist. She's a TEDx speaker, founder of Exponential Joy, a movement that guides next level women to lead with joy, live with purpose, and create ripples of positive change to extend far beyond themselves. She has 20 years of experience in human development, culture transformation, innovation, and she helps visionary women move from autopilot to intentional and soul satisfying leadership. How cool is that? Drawing from behavioral science, intercultural wisdom, and system thinking, she creates spaces for women, for leaders, for teams to thrive. She champions a future led by those who create from wholeness, and she empowers change makers to build lives and legacies that are energizing, purpose driven. She's creating a regenerative future for women who dare to lead differently. And today, the talk will be about the Edgewalker Mindset, activating the Joy Code. Before I leave the floor to you, Christine, first of all, a question to break the ice here. Why are you trying so much to crack out the code of joy, right? In particular for all leaders, but in particular for women. Can you unmute yourself?
So did you ask to me or to everyone? Sorry.
I asked to you. I asked to you.
Of course, happy to say that. So, well, the one thing you can see is that my middle name is Joy. My parents named me with what I think they actually saw way before I did, that we're all built with a code, and that code is joy. So here's the thing. I believe that we all have this in us as our own operating system. And what I've learned over the years is that I've gone through this edge walking mindset as an innovator to understand, how do I actually unlock this code so I can operate from a space of joy rather than jump to and try to find as a reward that joy. So this is one of the reasons that I find too many women in particular, whether they're burning out or they feel caged, they're not charged in life anymore, but they're just doing the everyday thing. And I'm finding that that's not going to get us where we want to be. And that won't allow us to be the change makers that we are. So if we can operate from that code of joy, it will bring us to a much better place where we actually live at our highest true potential.
What you are saying is you can't move far, and on the other side, you can't do things fully and with passion and great things and innovating things if you don't have joy inside you, basically. And you can't get that joy externally, but you need to find that inside yourself. That's cool. That's something that everybody wants, I guess, right? Every woman, every man. So we would love to hear how you are cracking out that code.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen. Arilla, thank you so much in the speakers committee for the invite to be able to speak on behalf of VOWI and as the kickoff speaker event. So I want this to be as interactive as possible. It is a shorter period of time, and we'll also leave some time for question and answer. So feel free to write those down for yourself so that we have a great discussion after this as well. I'll ask you to use the chat, as well as if we have time, we'll do an activity to have you take yourself off mute and share if you'd like to as well. Let me go ahead and share my screen here for you. Okay, and a thumbs up if you can see it. All right, thank you, Alyssa, I saw that. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's jump in. And if you're able to put cameras on, I love seeing faces. Every time I speak and I can see your face, I actually gain energy from seeing you. And I promise you, I'll push it right back out at you in the most positive way. So if you can show your face, I'd love to see you. If you can only do chat today, that is okay too. I know that we have people dialing in, coming in from all over the world. So this is fantastic. And let's jump right in then. The Edgewalker Mindset. Now, has anyone, and show of hands with your either reaction button or if you say yes in the chat, have you heard of the word Edgewalker before? Even, yep, you can even do, I see Sarah, she says, yep. Okay. Let's see what I'm going to show you next then. If not many of you have seen the word Edgewalker, I did not make this up. I actually wanted to have made it up. But I found that when I said, oh, Edgewalker, okay, I need to trademark that because that's an amazing way to think about who I am and how I show up. And actually, it came to me from someone when I was in Delphi, Greece. If you know of Delphi, Delphi was an oracle. And when I was walking in the ruins where Delphi was, all of a sudden, someone said to me, Kristin, you know who you are? You're an Edgewalker. I was like, that's brilliant. Okay. And when I went to trademark it, someone already had, and they wrote a book on it in 2008. And I was so disappointed. And then my mind went, no, that's amazing. Because when I read the book and got to know the author, Dr. Judy Neal, I'm actually running their facilitator meeting today. There's a group of us who are facilitators in Edgewalker Mindset. And it was brilliant. I said, well, you know what? What if I combine and help people understand what it is to be an Edgewalker and combine it with activating the joy code, which is what I've been working on with people. These two things together for innovators, I think will spark some new ways of thinking. So let's jump into this. So if you look here, this first one, and I want you to absorb the pictures as well as when you see my prompts on the screen, think about these things. What happens when you're walking between worlds and the path suddenly disappears beneath your feet? Now, your first question might be, what do you mean walking between worlds? Okay, let's pause there. Depending where you are in the world, your day, you may be already 8 hours into it. Maybe you're only 3 hours into it. Maybe you're much further into it than that. So I want you to think about just today. What are some of the worlds that you've walked between? For me, so I've been up for about 2.5, 3 hours now. I'm based in the United States, in Michigan. It's Eastern time zone here. And within those 3 hours, a few of the worlds that I've walked between are a professional and mom. I got my 15-year-old off to his first job this morning. And so I, fed him some good food. So he had sustenance before going into that. I walked between the worlds of being a pet mom, make sure the dog is fed, has what he needs, and goes outside before I jump on this call. I walk between the worlds of spiritual and physical. So meditation when I wake up first thing in the morning. Those are some of the worlds that I've walked between only in the few short hours that I've been awake. What are some of the worlds that you've walked between? Go ahead and put it in chat. Maybe you say just 2 words, this and this, or you might say, here's another space that I've walked. Maybe it's culturally. Here's another example for me. I also was working with a teammate who is based in South Africa. So cultural worlds that I was walking between. Let me pull up my chat here. These worlds can be physical, they can be metaphysical, they can be in the space of walking between marketing, so functions, marketing, and innovation. Maybe, hey, I had a conversation with the finance team today and then jumped right in and I'm in the creator space today. The different things that we're walking between. Thank you, Sonia. Good. I see some coming in. Yes, the spiritual and the mom. Yes, your morning routine. Yes, and the self-care that you have as well. Absolutely. Spiritual and professional. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, and work and professional life. Ooh, Arilla, thank you. Grief and joy. Living and working in these different time zones. Continually trying to figure out how we work with others across these cultural borders. There's also things like traditional versus transformational, or the traditional versus modern, or ancient, I like to say, the ancient wisdom versus modern wisdom. And it's not a versus, it's a worlds that we're walking between and trying to understand. There's many more we could talk about, but think about it now that you think about these different worlds. And now you're walking and the path right in front of you suddenly disappears. Right? Just imagine yourself. If you need to close your eyes to do this, imagine yourself walking between those worlds, and all of a sudden, the next step you're about to take, it looks like a black hole. Maybe that means your job got pulled right underneath your feet. Maybe a project got pulled underneath your feet. Maybe it was something happened, a situation, and you have to pivot. You have to shift your way of thinking, your mindset, what you're about to do next. Something shifts. So I want to know what you do. I'm going to give you 2 choices. The first choice here, woo, you turn around. Why? Because look at that black hole. Are you going to actually step into that? It's so unknown. You can't see anything. Are you really going to walk into that space? And then when you walk through, it's like, no clue what's in there. Is it a bear? Is it wet? If you step a little bit further, will you fall further? What's there? There's a lot of uncertainty looking at that, isn't it? What are some of the words? Put in the chat. What are some of the words you feel when you look at this picture? Does it make you want to turn around, or does it lure you in? It's kind of like wet and mossy. Maybe it's humid in there. Ooh, there's so many things that you look at this picture and you say, what do I do? Do I turn around? Or here's your second choice. Choice number 2, you build a bridge. Because guess what? Edgewalkers, and there are times edgewalkers don't do this because we're all human, but edgewalkers in their mindset, and I'll describe that after this, they actually look at that black hole and they see out into the future a little bit further than others, and they can actually see, no, that's not a black hole. that maybe is a veil or something but if you put your arm through it, it actually opens up and there is this beautiful cave of brilliance. There's so many ways that you can go down this path and exciting things that you can find, will discover. I'm going to be curious as I walk through that. And actually, even if it is dark, I might be that light that shines to make it even brighter so I can see. And I can bring people in with me, or I can figure out a way to make it build a bridge, to make this bridge that will connect us between worlds. So those are the two choices we have when the path disappears in front of us. Do we turn around or do we build a bridge? It takes courage to build a bridge. It takes courage not to turn around. Now, the Edgewalker is this: someone who leads at the boundary. They're used to walking on the edge. They're used to the boundary. They walk between systems, identities, cultures, roles. These are some of the worlds that they're walking between. But it's not just about walking between. It's someone who also has the ability to bridge these worlds between these different worldviews. They're able to bridge this, walk between, and build the bridge, and walk over that bridge and connect these worlds together, oftentimes when others don't even see that there is a path in front. And so when they're building these bridges, others might be stopped at one end and say, there's no path forward. And an Edgewalker says, there actually is, we just have to build it. So here's the other thing. These are qualities of an Edgewalker. And this comes from Dr. Judy Neal's work. She is an expert in change and an expert in transformation. She's an expert in actually the spiritual world in the workplace. And so one of the things that she's taught me as a mentor as well is that what we are as Edgewalkers, some of our qualities, we're self-aware. And you have to learn to be self-aware, right? So these are some of the qualities we are, but we also need to tap in to understand them better. We're passionate. We live from integrity. We're typically visionary and playful. These are all things that Edgewalkers typically are. Now, we also have skills that we learn. And I'm not going to go fully into that. I often have done workshops related to the qualities and skills of Edgewalkers. This one, I just want us to double click and see, out of these, do any one of these qualities stand out to you? Or maybe 2 or 3 of them that you say, oh yes, that resonates. Put it in chat. Self-aware, passionate, you live from integrity, visionary. You often see what other people don't see, what's on the other side. You're playful with it. It's not all serious work. You have fun with people while doing it. Great. Excellent. I see them coming in. Yes, yes. And actually, if you're interested, you can DM me after this. And I do have a free quiz about being an Edgewalker and how Edgewalker are you? Just for a fun little quiz, if you'd like to take it, happy to send it your way. So yes, how do we do all of these things? Well, the Edgewalker typically does that. That's the qualities. But here's the thing, as innovators, when you are the bridge, when you are that bridge, you've built it, but you are the bridge, you carry the tension of everything you're connecting. This is just the reality. So even if you love being that bridge, even if you are an Edgewalker through and through, there's a tension because people are walking across the bridge that you're building. And sometimes it's experimental and you don't know if one of the little slats in the bridge will break, if people are going to have to jump over. You are building as an innovator. And so the tension, when you're the bridge, you carry that tension. And here's the thing that I'm seeing. This is where we're going to get into the joy code, because problem number 1, there's a hidden cost that people don't talk about when you're walking between worlds. This hidden cost I have felt personally. And when we're trying to lead across not just multiple worlds, but realms, like these systems that we're walking between. So I've done innovation internally. So I'm an intrapreneur as well as an entrepreneur. I've walked between these different realms and said, okay, how do we bring the strategy, but do it with a human heart? the soul that needs to live into creating this incredible strategy for the organization. How do we perform? I'm also a certified high performance coach. How do we perform at our top, our best? We bring our best selves, but we're also paused and present in the moment. And we bring a presence and energy that connects people rather than pushes through for success and achievement. And then, as I mentioned earlier, a hidden cost, we're working between tradition, the old way of doing things, or the way of doing things, what people are used to. And we're sometimes shaking that up. People call us disruptors sometimes. We're disrupting what people know to be right and true. What does this cause? When we're doing transformation, we throw out this word as transformation, but that actually creates some anxiety and stress for people. It creates a shift in the world that they're used to. So sometimes instead of building that bridge, we have to shake the world a little bit, show them a whole new world, which is scary for many people, and be that bridge for them. So here's the thing, the problem, number one, it's not the act of leading that wears us down. It's bridging without rest, without regeneration. When we're bridging constantly and we don't do, I think what someone mentioned earlier in terms of that self-care routine in the morning, or that pausing in the middle of the day and taking a deep breath, our body will tell us, and we may not listen to it and we may push forward. And that's a problem. It's a hidden cost. All right, I'm going to give you some personal examples. I promise you this, I will be vulnerable during these shares here. And so here's my first story for you. And I went to Stanford Business School and I did a leadership program. One of the courses we took was on the power of story. And we learned 6-word stories. So this is a fantastic way to approach what you're doing. If you're trying to share quickly something that's impactful, a 6-word story can do that. So as you can see in my pictures, here's the 6-word story: celebrated globally, forgot to breathe locally. I was flying all around the world, winning awards for the work that I was doing that was innovative in the space of inclusion and belonging. I was shifting systems and how we thought about things, not by myself, with a team of people. We were working hard together to make this happen. And facilitating sessions, teaching cultural intelligence to some of the world's largest companies. And as I'm certifying people in how to work and relate effectively across cultures, I found myself slowly going, you can only do that virtually. That's what I really love about virtual talks. All right, so you truly could sense, if you knew me well, that I wasn't fully myself. Yet at the same time, if you didn't know me well, all you would see is the energy that I was bringing to you because I was putting on a show. That's the reality. So here's the thing, talking on some of the biggest stages of the world about working and connecting, and I completely depleted my energy, completely. So here's the problem number 2, and feel free to put in the chat if you resonate with this, if you've had this for yourself. I'd love to hear your stories as well. Interact with these, let them come into your body and your mind. Problem number 2 is we forget to ground ourselves. So this is connected to it, right? There's that hidden cost, but then when we forget to ground ourselves in the process, what I'm showing you right now is I created an experiment around a joy awareness. And at the very end, there's a QR code if you'd like to take this free survey as well. I'm experimenting to see, I created 16 attributes of joy. And I'm testing this to see, are these accurate? How does this help us look at joy differently? Well, so far, out of the, I think maybe 60 to 75 people who have taken the assessment so far, I have a top 5 attributes. And there are 3 different areas that we look at. So if you look at the right-hand column, grow, give, ground, these are part of an exponential curve of exponential joy. At the very bottom is grounding. These are fundamental, foundational for how we operate. Then next is grow, because we all go through on this exponential curve, this growth moments, these moments that are trying to help us move to that next level. We can either move or we slide backward. We don't rise to that challenge. Then the third category is give, that we're in this contribution mode. We're serving others. We're trying to do impact, not just for ourselves and grounding, but also to others and sharing joy. Here's what I've found so far. The data is showing that many people put themselves in the giving category at that top level of I'm contributing to others. But what you'll see here, and I actually put the bottom 6 attributes: playfulness, energy, and trust, which are all part of the grounding foundational pieces of joy, are at their bottom 5 or 6. Means they're not grounding themselves, yet they're giving to others. What does that mean to you? They're not grounding themselves, but they're giving to others. What does that lead to?
Burnout.
Burnout. Ah! One of the fastest ways to burn out is to continually give to others and not regenerate the energy you need. And I think for women especially, and I think for innovators especially, we're working and living on the edge of what's new. Other people can't see it. So you often feel alone in the space doing that. And if we're not pumping in the energy that we need and connecting with other people who have the energy to give to each other, and allowing yourself to absorb not just energy, but creativity, forgiveness, acceptance, these are all key things to help us lead from a place of joy. So here's the thing. I'm with you, Sarah, and you know this too well. I also forget to do self-care. And now I've had to put it into my life as a discipline, because if I don't, what happens is not just our own health, but misplaced purpose. We lose our path. And when we look at, back to that very first slide, when we look at the path ahead, instead of saying, oh, and having the energy to create that bridge for others and see where others won't, we look at it and say, like, I'm just too tired. I know there's something on the other end, but I'm too tired. And my body's breaking down on me. So look at this picture. My 6-word story: health crashed, hobbies buried, vision blurred. That picture of me smiling was me as an entrepreneur in a corporate space. And behind me is my map of how we're connecting the dots with all of the people as change agents inside. This was supposed to be a selfie for my why. It was a campaign we were doing internally for employee engagement. I didn't ever look at this picture. I took it and I sent it on to whoever I needed to. And I pulled this up like 4 months ago and I go, my reaction was, I am an empty shell. There's no sparkle in my eyes. I might be smiling, but the joy is not there. And then the next picture is when I came home from work. That's what I looked like every single day with 2 young kids at home. Now they're teenagers, but when they were very young, I had 0 left to give. I was laying comatose looking at a TV right in that moment. And then probably the next moment I fell asleep. And you try many things like pills, all of that. Supplements is what I used to try to regain that energy back, but it wasn't the supplements that was going to help. I was missing the joy. Okay, so here's our problem number 3. Our problem number 3 is we tie our joy. Tell me if this is accurate, what you think. Put it in the chat. We tie our joy to our goals instead of our goals to our joy. Oof. Sorry, that one might be a zinger, a little bit painful to hear, but it is the truth. Unfortunately, and this is from Vishen, he's the CEO of Mind Valley. He talks about that. He thinks about 90% of career people and entrepreneurs live in anxiety and stress. 90%. Okay, I agree. And I think it's because we're attaching our joy to our goals, meaning once I get there, once I accomplish this, then I'll do this. It's saying, once I hit this milestone, this project is a huge project. Once I complete this, then I get to take that little vacation for that long weekend, meaning you took one day off and you didn't work on a weekend. That's not a bravo moment. Just saying. We have to actually build in first. Where's your center of joy? What gives you that joy? And so one of the methods that I do now is I look at the year, at the beginning of the year, and I plug in where I'm taking big, long breaks, meaning a week, or maybe it has to be 2 weeks that, and I'm not doing multiple of those, but maybe I look at the rhythm of the year and say, what do I need to regenerate so that I can come back and be living from this place of joy and remove the anxiety and stress? Because without me knowing it, I realize now when I look back after my burnout, 2 burnouts, I was so stressed. My body was yelling at me and I wasn't hearing it. Why? My joy was operating based on goals, not the goals on the joy. Okay, so I won't go further into this because I want to give you a solution. The solution that I'm finding right now, and this is an experiment. I want you to, talk about this a little bit more with me. I want us to engage in this together. It's called activating your epic joy code. Now, epic, and if you want to do a screenshot, this is a good one to do it to. Epic here, it stands for our energy, our purpose, multiplied by our intention. And the exponent here in the equation is connection to people. So what I mean by this, now think about this for yourself. And Sonia, I see that. How do we start to ground ourselves? How do we stop doing everything for the goal and shift to the joy goal? This is how. We first, if you have none of these 3 things that you see here, or the 4th with connection, then, we've got a lot of work to do to figure out how do we activate the joy code. But maybe you look at these, and I'd like to hear in chat from you. When you look at these, energy, so energy, let me just describe a little bit. And while I am, put it into the chat where you feel like maybe there's one area that you really could work on. And if you work on this, you'll feel that joy code come out more. You're tapping back into that. Your energy is your vitality, meaning maybe it's actually how you're operating with your sleep. So at the most fundamental level, are you getting enough sleep to fuel your day? Are you feeding yourself well, meaning healthy, meaning a way that your body says, yes, and let's go? Are you taking breaks like this? For example, I'm in a stand-up desk right now. If I'm working, and I would say as a creator and innovator, I can get so deep in my experiments that I don't come up for air. Does anyone else know what I mean by this? If I don't schedule or have an alarm that goes off after 50 minutes, I will stay sitting literally for 4 hours if I'm so focused. And so it's figuring out how you're standing up after 50 minutes to just stretch out and have movement in your body. These are some of the fundamentals of energy. It can go much deeper than that as well. But for me, joy is about aliveness. Joy is about aliveness. This energy helps us with our vitality and coming alive in this way. Our purpose, your why, that's also about finding meaning in life, finding things that are meaningful for you that you're working on. And people will talk about, are you working on your purpose? And people can get scared about, what is my purpose? I don't know. How does everyone know what their purpose is? And I don't. That's not what this is about. So yes, we have to do some soul work, some intentional work to understand, why am I here? And sometimes people find it faster than others, but it's not just one thing. At different stages in life, you'll find different reasons for why you need to be here and why you're showing up for people the way you need to and how that might look the best way. For Edgewalkers, you may be coming out in this different way and saying, like, I'm here right now to put play back in life. What I have found personally is that from that quiz that I took, playfulness was one that people had lost, as I mentioned. So how do I help people bring play back? Because that, for me, when I lost hobbies, I stopped playing piano, I stopped hiking, I stopped going outside and camping for a period of 10 years almost, that I might go camping here and there, but not like I used to. When I lost those hobbies and play is when I found burnout. And so what I'm doing is bringing people on global retreats, hiking El Camino de Santiago in northern Spain, helping us see the world differently and find play again. Even mini retreats near our own homes so that we're doing that. So figuring out, how do you activate that? Our purpose, when we go back to that, finding our why and meaning in what we do. When we have meaning, we find joy. When we have higher energy levels, we find joy. When we are intentional, so the next piece here, this is about inspired action. You can take action and say, okay, here's my purpose. But if it's not aligned, and if you're not knowing exactly where to go, this inspired action, you take many actions, many to-dos in a day, but it might set you on this direction rather than this direction. So it's understanding the direction you need to take and intentionally having discipline in creating that for yourself. This is when I talk about core habits of high performers. Some of the things that high performers do to help us live in this inspired action state. And then finally, connection. So go ahead and write down, as I talk about connection, in the chat, what's one area you'd want to work on? What's one area you'd want to work on? Because connection here is our relational multiplier. So if we multiply our energy times our purpose, times our intention, we will find more joy. This is one of the codes that we can download into our body or reactivate into our body, that we will find more joy. But if we're not sharing it with others, the contribution side or being able to have connection with people will help bring us more joy in moments, because joy is not about removing the sadness and grief that we may also have. Joy lives with us in that space. It doesn't mean if you're activating this joy code that all of that will go away, but your mindset will be different when those things hit. So this is some of what we talk about and how to activate this joy code. All right, I want to see in the chat, anyone willing to say, because connection means community, right? And this is one of the things that I'm finding for VOWI as we're going into the community piece. How do you connect with like-minded women who can help inspire you and give you action steps to take that are aligned with your purpose? Maybe call each other out in moments as we build trust with each other to say, hey, that didn't seem as aligned. Ooh, you're right. We all need those people in our lives. So how do we do that? Yes, these are some of the things. So I want to do very quick activity. It's very quick. This may be something that you take with you later. All right. So these are 4 portals. I want you to think about this. And my journey in life has been around portals. Certain times that I'm stepping in and I didn't even realize it. So again, back to that door. And maybe when we get to that bridge in the beginning picture we had, and it's darkness on the other side, maybe that's a portal. That if you courageously step through that portal, it brings you into this new space that you can innovate, but it takes curiosity and courage to do that. So here, think about these portals. And if you want to close your eyes even a second, each of these portals, each of these doors here represent one of the pieces of the epic joy code. What they represent, so the first door here is energy. So think about it for yourself. What's the current state of your energy? Is it scattered or focused? Is it drained or vibrant? Is it anxious or grounded? Where are you holding tension? Where is there flow? So some of the things I want you to think about today, my energy feels like blank because blank. We can actually shift it today. You can shift it by walking through this door, opening that first portal and saying, today, right in this moment, my energy feels blank because of blank. And now I'm going to shift it if it's not what you want it to be. That's behind the first door. All right. Second door. And sometimes we need to take a deep breath and hold this in, right? If you want to put this on your heart, if you want to use this as a meditation, these 4 portals are really good for that. The next one is around purpose. You see this door, you're walking up to it. You're wondering, should I knock at it? Should I just open it? Do I open it? Purpose, ooh, is that a can of worms to open that? What you're thinking about is what still matters most to you beneath the noise, because noise is everywhere. What matters to you? What's your deep why that's asking to be heard right now? If we quiet the noise long enough, we'll hear it. And so what I want you to ask yourself, you can even journal on this, the purpose pulling me forward right now is blank. The purpose pulling me forward right now is blank. Portal number 3 is intention. What's one micro move that you can make to align your day, or maybe even your life, if you're working at that level and walking between worlds, your own worlds? What's one micro move you can make to align with that purpose? Now, this isn't just a task. It's really an energetic stance, a mindset, a small internal recalibration. Maybe you are an Edgewalker and you've been fighting that mindset, saying, I have to operate like the world tells me to operate. And I'm on the outside of that typically. So I'm trying to align with what the system or mainstream says how I should operate. And really, your body is saying, no, that's not you. Don't do that. So how do we operate in this mindset as an Edgewalker? And so here's the thing. Ask yourself, what's one intention I want to embody today? That one intention I want to embody today is what? What's one action that you will take to align whether it's your mindset, your stance, that internal recalibration that you need? Maybe it's then to sleep more tonight, drink some more water during the day, even to help with the energy, to align with that purpose. And then finally, the fourth door. Again, see these doors, and the fourth one is connection. And I'm going to leave us on this one because this comes back to our community. Who or what expands your capacity to lead with joy? Who do you feel safe with, seen by, or strengthened through? I think we often find ourselves in lonely spaces, especially as Edgewalkers. And when we're not connecting to be seen or to feel safe, to share our experiments or our crazy ideas with others, this is one thing. I've embraced my Edgewalker mindset. And this is one thing someone else gave me as one of my, when I worked in the as an intrapreneur, crazy just might work. Now, some people might read that and go like, what? You call me crazy? Why would I do? Okay, I embrace that. And I say, yeah, it might just work. And I wonder how we can bring this and bridge worlds with it. So what connection are you craving today? Your prompt to think about is, I feel most connected when blank. I feel most connected when blank. And I want to reach out to blank today. Who is it that you feel you need to reach out to today? Maybe you need or they need that connection. I will mention one more thing is I had this moment. I reached out to someone to be a part of the Exponential Joy community. And this was when I first launched it in January. And I invited her directly. And she first said, yes, I would love to. And then came back and said, I really can't right now. I'm finishing my PhD. And I said, I get it. I understand. She came back to me and actually just 2 days ago and thanked me for asking her in that moment, for reaching out to her, because that was the boost she needed to help her even completing her PhD. You never know what someone needs in that moment. And she came to mind and I said, I'm going to reach out to her. And that little piece of inspiration and confidence and giving voice to someone was the one thing that she needed in that moment that I had no idea was the gift. And it was a gift back to me when she said that to me. And I thought, oh, this is why we're doing what we're doing. We are sharing with each other and giving with each other and lifting each other up in this process. So these are the 4 portals, and I'm going to finish with this. The joy code is not just self-care. It's inner architecture. inner architecture, meaning we have to create this regenerative operating system. And if you saw my message this morning, I said I want to reveal a little secret. The secret is this: I've been in stealth mode working on the Joy Code is part of a larger operating system, the Joy operating system that you can bring in and us working on together for our own, because this is just one short talk about it. But how to actually get this to work, this is what I've been innovating and working on myself and bringing it into organizations to figure out, how do we shift how we lead and live on the edge with joy? So here's the full thing. If you want a quick snapshot, here's the full solution in activating that epic joy system. And it's truly been my pleasure, because this is the piece I'm able to help with then. Say, look, when I find myself operating from a place of joy, I can take those ancient whispers that I heard from Delphi and spark a joyful mission. When I'm living on purpose, have the energy I need to do this, it gives back to me and I can give back to the world. And I hope that you can find the same for yourself. And I hope to be able to help you do that so we all rise together in this space. So this is where we're at. Take action, join VOWI, because here we are as a community supporting each other. Please join us. I mean, we're having a great time and we've just begun. So I would love, and Arilla, I know you can take this over and talk more about it. Here's the QR code if you want to learn more about that joy awareness scale. Just zoom down into it and click on joy awareness, and that's free for anyone to take as well. You just need to put in your emails so that you get the results. But that's what I have for you today. And I am just so thrilled to be able to share with you what I'm learning and experimenting with in this moment.
Wow, such an insightful talk. Thank you very much, Kristin. You can stop sharing the screen. I'll leave the floor to Elisa to kick it off with some questions. And please, any of you, ask any question. We have around 13 minutes.
Yeah, ladies, who would like to ask any question to Kristin? Maybe I can start, Kristin. We mentioned about the success that we always relate to goals, and that, okay, if we reach that goal, we are really successful. And after adopting this mindset, what would success look like actually?
So what would success look like after you've adopted the goal of joy first? Is that what you're asking? And
Exactly.
then we're setting our goals. I love that question. So it's going to look different for each and every one of us. How I view it for myself is that when I'm starting from a place of joy, then everything that I'm doing will create more meaning and regenerate more meaning. And so success is not the piece of check the box. I've done this, I've gotten this far, I've gotten this award, because that goes back to my first story about depleted energy. Because I was doing that and I was checking it off. And guess what happened after that? I'd set a next higher goal and a higher goal. And so I was achieving, but I was feeling empty. And so for me, what I see when I set joy as that baseline and I'm operating from that space, then the meaning that I find in the work, that's success. When I am actually feeling healthy and operating so that my kids and my husband can see me come home from work with a smile on my face and enough energy to give them rather than be depleted, that's success. And then what comes with this, here's the funny thing that I'm finding. What comes with this is when you're operating from that space, you also can find the success that the natural world says is success. It comes also, right? So it's not that the awards and all of that will always stop. But for me personally, I took a pause. I said, no, in order to reset my mind, I do not have the goal of getting these awards. I did not have the goal of getting these recognitions the way I had before. It's now the goal is to create this energy and joy that won't go away when some of the troubles come in, because they will. And that's what success is to me, that I can now operate from this place of joy rather than seeking it outside of myself.
No, that's very important also to avoid the burnout that we currently we find themselves very often. We have a question from Sonia. How do we start to ground ourselves, and how can we stop doing everything for the goal and shift to have this joy goal?
Yes. So to ground ourselves, again, it depends what level you're at right now with grounding. If you haven't done some of these foundational things of, that you're moving your body often, that you're exercising in the way that you need to. That one for me, I bring that up because it's a tough one. I walk my dog every day. I actually got a dog during COVID so that I would go outside and move from my desk and be able to walk away and, be outside and get that exercise. And the sad thing is, but at the same time, I knew myself too well that if I didn't put someone or something, knowing the intention that they needed something, if I didn't have that, then I may not take care of myself because my self-care was not good. So I had to do that in order to get into this different mind space that I'm now. Now, here's the key thing that I would say for grounding ourselves. Find a different activity. Maybe it's a hobby. Write down a list of hobbies that you have, and maybe things that you've loved to do in the past. Maybe you're not doing them anymore. How can you interject that into your week? It doesn't have to be full on, every day I'm going to do this again, but maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's playing piano like me, or maybe it's doing artwork, or all these different things. Maybe it's adventures, getting outside and having an adventure. Many things. Find something so that you can reiterate that and ground yourself again in those key things of play. I will recommend that joy awareness survey again, because it will show you and give you a report afterward to say, again, it's an experiment, so I'm looking for feedback as well, but it will show you here are the key areas to ground even further and how you can do that with some strategies too. Great question, Sonia. Arilla, over to you.
Yeah. Kristin, somebody was saying once, I was hearing in a speech, and I've heard many different speakers actually saying, hey, there is no balance, right? No balance between work and life. That's a bullshit. That's something that we are trying to do, but one day you can be a good mom. One day you can be a good professional. One day you can be yourself about doing all the hobbies that you are saying. So every day you are trying to be the best for something, but you can be every day balancing everything, being a wife, being a mother, being a professional, being an award seeker, being whatever. All these things that are expected usually, right? What's your take on that?
Yes, I agree that the word balance is bullshit. I agree that there's not balance, but that's not to say that it is one day you're good at this, one day you're good at this, one day you're good at this. For me, if you are operating from this space of joy, and this is what the message, the key takeaway that I want people to have, when you can activate this joy code that we all have in us, your mindset shifts. The other stuff isn't what's most important. What the world is expecting of you, and this takes an Edgewalker mindset sometimes, what the world's expecting of you isn't what you need to expect of yourself. And the expectations of the world, what are they doing well for us right now? In the moment, how I see the world, there is so much tension and conflict, darkness and challenge. And there are so many people also who bring light to this world. And we're here right now on this earth. And this is one of the things that if we can rise above the expectations of what the world is giving us, that's not helping. And we can say, here are the new expectations, the new world, the new humanity that needs to show up. We can operate from this place of joy and not think about balance in the way the world does, but think about it in the sense of bringing light and love and meaning to the world and showing up for each other and contributing with each other. Now that may sound like, oh, that's all good. No, it's true.
I want to emphasize something, right? You mentioned in the end, in innovation, we say you need an ecosystem to make things happen. You need partners, you need teams internally, external. As a women, right, we need an supportive ecosystem as well to make things work. Might be your parents, might be your sister, might be your friends who are helping in everything. So it's a bullshit also saying, hey, I achieved success and that was all me, self-made. I do believe it's so hard if we don't have a supportive ecosystem, and are these people who stay behind you or next to you, which sometimes we don't appreciate, right? Because we take it for granted, but are those ones who are rising us and kind of making us empowered to follow these goals, to follow the hobbies, to do whatever we are trying to do. So, because I do believe there is a fear when we say, hey, yeah, try to find your joy, let's find your joy. And people will say, oh, if I find my joy, probably I'll be in Bali doing meditation and yoga, and that's my joy, right? But I mean, you have to work. Not all of
Yes.
are basically lucky and
Uh,
are. You have to do all these things to show up in the morning for your son or your daughter, to show up for your husband, to show up for your friend, to show up for your family, and all this kind of stuff. And it's a lot.
yeah.
And really, how can you succeed in all this? In particular, if you are an innovator, we know how hard this is fighting against everyone.
Mhm. That I love that question. And yes, I mean, the piece is all of these things, again, feel like these expectations and these tensions. So I'm going to go back to the picture that we had about the bridge, and that we're the building this bridge that others can't even see, and that we're the ones like connecting, and there's going to be tension in that. And that's okay. It's living, it's figuring out how to live in that tension, but doing it from a place of joy, doing it from a place of peace. And that's not easy to do. And at the same time, it is possible. So although we look at the world and say, like, how do I do all these things? Because you're right. What if we were all hermits and we all went into our own caves and our own space and then meditated for 20 years? What would that do to the world? Well, we'd have some incredibly peaceful people on the world. And at the same time, no one that knows to interact with each other. We need that. We need the both and, right? And we can learn from those people who have done that. I've met some people who are incredible spiritual masters because they've learned something so deep from that space that they're sharing it. And that's one of the worlds that we bridge then. How do we help them bridge what they've learned to teach others with that? So this is where I say we show up as a bridge, but that ecosystem is key. That this is an ecosystem with multiple players. And here's the other, I guess, strategy or takeaway I would say is finding your super nodes and not holding on. So I say super nodes are people all around the world. For me personally, are those people who I touch in with. And it doesn't have to be on a frequent basis, but I know they're there for me and they will check in on me. And these are the people that will help me grow and learn and see the world differently. They help me be the Edgewalker that I need to be, but it's done collectively. So if we were all doing this by ourselves, there really wouldn't be a purpose. We're here to do this collectively for shared humanity. So that would be the last thing I'd say, that Edgewalkers, need to come together, that Edgewalker mindset, and innovators need to come together to co-create, to build something that's much better and help each other activate that joy code.
I think that's why we created VOWI, right? So kind of bringing these Edgewalkers together and finding this common language and helping each other thrive and cracking out this joy code with you actually along. You may your takeaways, but we are 1 minute away. Kristin, I want you to take the chance to promote this study visit, this workshop that you have, basically, because it's a moment to stop. And all of us need a moment to stop, right? So where is that happening, basically? And let's invite all the...
Yes. Well, and so I'm going to ask for this group too. So because I'm an innovator, this is an experiment. And this joy code, I'm actually going to put out there in a few different ways. So I do have a membership that's called, it's actually the Joy Incubator, where we experiment with joy and some of these grounding things that we've talked about. We experiment with that. But the other thing I'm looking for right now are a few companies around the world who are innovative, who are forward thinking, or maybe even a few teams who are willing to test this out with their teams. Because I want to see how we might together, and it can be co-created. I mean, the system is there, the operating system and what we need to do, but it's a new way of operating. And I think if we can show how we lead from joy and from purpose, think about the change that we can have. So what I'm going to put just in the chat right now is that's just the website for Exponential Joy, but you can also ping me directly. And I'll put that in here as well, that direct message me if you can't find something that you need, or you have interest in figuring out how to partner on this. I'm doing it in two ways. One for individuals who want to just come in as leaders to do this for themselves. And then the other way is going in and working with teams to do that. So thank you for the opportunity to share that, Irila. I appreciate it.
A pleasure. Thank you, Kristin. And to all women innovators who are working in your companies, it's a great chance to experiment, to incentivize your teams. I know in innovations, usually we have to recognize our teammates, basically, who are bringing ideas, executing those ideas. And this is a great way to do it. Kristin, thank you very much to kick off this speaker series. And we are waiting, and I believe I am inviting everybody to the next one, which I believe will be end of July, basically before vacations or in the middle of vacations for some of the people. So thank you to everyone. Please follow us in VOWI. If you want to become a member, let us know. Basically, it's a free and open network for everyone. What's important is to bring joy with you and collaborate. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.